there are storytellers in other countries who aren't able to storytell.
Right.
And here I'm being paid to do that, which is absolutely amazing. Like I love telling stories, and I don't think that I could ever live in a society where art doesn't exist.
Welcome back to the Corner Talks podcast. I have my good friend here.
How's it going, man? Happy to be back.
No, it shouldn't be about anything. Like, this is one life.
Yep, one life? Like, fucking do it.
My guy.
Like, she just got it. She totally understood it.
20 years old when I started just watching a lot of movies.
And it tells a story. I want to tell a story.
Today I have a good friend, actor, writer, Carlos Albornoz. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Just here at home right now, just chilling. Just came back from a busy week last week. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. I was just gonna say it's been quite eventful for you. I believe last time we talked, you were in Halifax. Was that for a gig or you were visiting?
So no, that was actually I was in Vancouver. I think last time we talked, I was doing a gig there as well. I did have a gig out in Halifax for The Sinner, but that actually ended up getting canceled because of COVID. So.
Okay. Sorry to hear that. But you win some, you lose some, right?
Exactly. That's how it works, right?
Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. It's an honor because we've been following each other. I've been following your content, I should say, for a while now. I really don't know how we kind of connected. Maybe it's through mutual friends or osmosis, whatever have you.
Yeah.
But it's been over a year now, right? And I said to myself, I want to bring you on the podcast. Not only are you an actor, but you're a writer. And to me, that's a storyteller. That's a true artist. The fact that you can dabble in both. And there's a lot of projects as well on your page that I've been following, which I'm genuinely fascinated, intrigued to talk about, which we'll discuss more later on. But I'm always pleased to come across individuals who not only share our mutual interest for the arts, but actually are pursuing a career in the industry. And that's something that I revere you for. But I want to know from you, why did you decide to pursue acting and writing?
I wanted to become an actor. Well, here's the thing. It's always been a thing with me. Like I remember my very first time ever being on stage. My parents were a part of a church group, and all the kids were doing this Christmas play. And I remember stepping out on that stage and seeing the audience, and I was like, holy, I love this feeling. And like, ever since I was a kid, like I'd perform for my family, or I don't know, I'd be walking home from school and I'd pretend there was lights and cameras.
Right.
Right. So it was always a thing with me. But I think the reason behind that was I was watching, did you watch J-Lo's documentary?
No, but I heard about that. Yeah, I gotta check it out.
Yeah, it's a great documentary. She says something that really resonated with me. She's like, I just want to feel something.
Yeah. And
I think that's really what it is. It's like I just want to tell stories. I want to feel, and I want to make people feel.
Yeah. And
it's something that I find is so beautiful. You know what I mean? Especially with storytelling, and it's something that every culture has. So yeah, that's I think the main reason why I wanted to.
Why you choose the arts? No, for sure, man. And I'm so happy you said that. Like, I made a video a while back. Kind of like this vlog diary, basically telling the audience, my views and subjects that I wish to openly discuss. And one of them was why I chose to become a filmmaker. And there were a number of reasons why I obviously chose the path. And one in particular was exactly what you said. It's the reaction, the audience's emotion to your brand, right? Like to what you create. The fact that you are able to evoke something out of them, for me, is like endlessly fascinating, right? I don't know if it's like a power trip or something like that, but it's just so like really like satisfying, and also fulfilling, because it's what I want to do, to know that whenever you create something as small as a short or a 1 minute reel to, like a 20-minute project, you can get something out of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like, it was funny because I was telling my girlfriend once, she's like, you're such a psychopath. And I was like, I just want to make people cry.
Yeah.
I want to make people cry all the time, emotionally ugly cry.
That's success for us, right? That's success,
exactly.
Right? It's just like a comedian.
Exactly.
I had a couple of comedians on the podcast, right? And I said, what you guys do takes a lot of balls, like takes a lot of courage. The fact that you go on stage, it's not like you're just saying a speech like, hey, pleasure to be here. And people just nod their heads. If they want to listen in, they listen in. You have to evoke an emotion out of them, which is laughter, in order for it to be successful. So for example, for you, right, if you're in a drama, right, if you're in a performance, if the person's not emotional or moved or touched, you failed your job as an actor, right?
Exactly.
So that's what we strive towards really every day in the arts, but no matter what role we're in, right? Even if you're a dancer, right? You want to, like you said, have some feeling put into play. So that was really cool what you said. I really resonate with that, Carlos. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So now, you've obviously been doing this for a while now, or at least I've seen that come across. So there's many experiences that are under your belt. How have they been in these professions? Like, what have your experiences been like for you as you navigate the turbulent path of an artist?
Yeah, so I mean, it was definitely something that I had to learn. It's not something that you can like take a master class on. You know what I mean? It's
right.
You have to really just like throw yourself into the industry and just learn from there. You know what I mean? By making mistakes and stuff. I mean, I went to theater school at Humber College in Toronto.
Right.
And from there, like you get the basics, you know what I mean? Like, of course you get your acting techniques and you get some sort of background in the business, but it's such a whirlwind business. You know what I mean? It's like, I remember going out to auditions and, and just doing stuff that casting directors have been like, no, you don't want to do that. Where it's something that I learned in school. So I was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you quickly learn as well that everybody has their own individual style. Like with casting directors, you know what I mean? Like there are some casting directors who want you to be clean shaven, looking nice for your auditions. You know what I mean? Where there are other ones where you can go in sandals and don't care, but as long as you get all the words right, you know what I mean?
Right.
As long as you get all the words right, they're fine. But if you mess up one word, it's like, no, start all over.
Oh, wow. Like there are some that are really polished and some that are like unconventional.
Yeah.
Do whatever you have to do to get the role. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I always thought my impression with acting, because I'm more of a writer director, but when you go for an audition, wouldn't you show up as dressed as the role, or is that just how pop culture kind of sees it? It's not always that way.
It's not always that way. And some casting directors actually like will get annoyed. Like, let's say if you're doing a piece, you know what I mean? And you're coming in with like a 1980s suit, they're gonna be like, no, it's too much. Yeah. You wanna dress for the part, but not the part. You don't want to
overdo it, right? And kind of come across a little bit pretentious and showing off of it.
Exactly. So like if I'm playing I don't know, let's say a gangster, I might show up with like a dark colored t-shirt, maybe some jeans, you know what I mean? Something like that, or maybe even like a bomber jacket. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah. Like a dress code that would obviously be reminiscent of the characters you would
exactly
be playing, right? Yeah,
exactly. You want to suggest, you don't want to be the character.
Got you.
In an audition.
yeah. No, that's very interesting to hear. Like I said, I get through pop culture, right? I'm a fan of Entourage. So you always see the guys like showing up in the like drama, right? When he goes for an audition, he's always wearing the leather jacket with the aviator glasses, and there's like 50 people dressed the same way. So you always imagine like, is that how it is? Like you got to dress for the part, right? But you're saying it really depends on the casting agent, right? Like the casting director.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that stuff still happens. Like you'll go into a cast, like not so much anymore because of COVID, but before you would go into a casting room and they'd be big. Like I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd go in there and they'd be casting. I'd see all these other big guys, and I was like, oh shit. But I mean, we're all dressed different. Yeah. But I mean, before too, what they also want to see is they wanted to see your personality. You know what I mean? It's like they're not just hiring the best person for the character; they're also hiring the actor. They want to hire someone who they're happy with. You know what I mean? Someone that's not going to be bringing them grief every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I think I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like applying for a job, right? They want to know if they can work with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you're compatible, as a individual. Forget aside from the artist, right?
Exactly. So it's really the whole package.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, like they don't want to. You can be the best, you know, like a Heath Ledger Joker, for example. You know what I mean? Like you might be the best for that role, but if you're a not so pleasant person, they're gonna be like, okay, next.
No, I heard about that actually. I heard that you should treat it like a job interview, and I've even heard the best ones that the most effective ways to land the audition is to become buddy buddy with them before the audition starts.
Yeah,
like compliments, how's it going? Like treat them like human beings, and then like zap into character and say, let's go, right? Because I guess some people, or maybe an amateur move would be just thrust yourself into the character and like expect you know what I mean, admiration after it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, what I like to do is I like to keep notes. Like, for example, like if a casting director is like, oh yeah, no, my daughter graduated last week, or is graduating in 2 weeks, for example. You know what I mean? I would want to write that down so the next time I see it, I was like, oh, how's the graduation going? So it makes that connection. Yeah, exactly. And everybody wants to hear about themselves.
100%, man. 100%.
You know what I mean?
No, you're very smart about it.
Oh, this person knows me. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, and
you
then
feel like
they
you know the
to remember
person.
you.
And like you said, right, with these productions, like as we know, working on sets, you know, they are long, strenuous days. So you want to be working with the most pleasant, most easygoing people, because it also impacts creativity. I always say, right? Creativity is a very fine line, very delicate. So if you have someone that's just making everybody have anxiety or just nerve-wracking, like you'll see it on the final product. Like you'll see it on the actor's face. If the director's, you know, giving everybody a hard time, like you'll see it in the production value. It won't be maybe at its optimum potential, but it's so important. Like you said, that's a very valid point, Carlos. Like treat it as if you're going for a job, right? Like you're not there to just land the role. You're going to be working with them, right? They want to know that you're going to fit into the organization, which is the film project, for how many days you're shooting, right? So very, very wise words. And it makes sense, right? Based on your tenure, like you've been doing it for a while, and like we've seen you could see your resume on social media. So you know the ropes for sure. Now I want to get into like writing. So you said you call yourself a writer as well, or identify as one on social media. So take us to writing. Like how did that, were you always like, were you a writer first? Like were you a storyteller first, and you kind of branched into acting so you can one day pitch your stories? How did this kind of transpire?
So I started writing because I was always an actor first.
Okay.
Yeah. And I started writing. I have a lot of friends who are writers, and even some friends who have sold their projects to big networks, right?
Nice.
Yeah. And that really inspired me, because it's true. Like what I've always been told is, if you want to work, especially in Canada, you have to start creating your own work. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can't.
I'm evidence of that for sure.
And you can't just rely on your talent alone. You know what I mean? You have to, like I said, you have to be like this kind of like whole package artist, which is really hard to do. You know what I mean? Like, and could be a little bit more disciplined with my writing, absolutely. But yeah, I got into it so that I can see myself in roles that I wouldn't necessarily get cast in. You know what I mean? Because especially here in Canada, like a lot of the main actors are already casted when projects come here out of LA. So when casting directors come here, sometimes they'll see you for a certain role, but it's like they've already casted it and they're only seeing you because ACTRA, our union in Canada, says they have to, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So here in Canada, they really like to just cast the filler roles, so like the supportings, the backgrounds, you know.
It's also highly regulated, I know, like from my experience working with actors. Like if you're part of ACTRA, you can't work for side projects. You can't even make your own projects. Is that true?
Yeah, exactly. You have to do everything with ACTRA, right? So yeah, it's a little difficult, but yeah, I got into writing so that I can see myself in roles that I want to be in, lead roles. You know, and right now I'm working on a movie about a Chilean folk singer. That's where my family's from, Chile.
Nice.
Yeah, you know, so right now I'm working on that, and I obviously want to do the lead role. So once the script is done, we start to, this is the path that I want to take: script, short film, and then submit it to a network, or even like a Netflix or something like that. You know what I mean? To sell the project and make it into a full feature length film.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So,
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I became a writer.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. And credit to you. And like you said, a very interesting point at the beginning, but a valid one where you have to create your own content,
Yeah,
especially in Canada as well. Like it's just a reality. I always say, put yourself out there. And the best way to do it is just make your own content, right?
yeah,
It doesn't always have to be film related, right? Like this podcast has served me so well in connecting with people like yourself, potential job opportunities, clients that I work with through my production company, all because I simply have a 1 hour sit down conversation with them, get to know who they are. And then there's some sort of rapport. And then I offer my services and then we hit it off and, so be it. Right. So far that
yeah,
strategy has been working, but exactly to your point, like put yourself out there. Right. If there's this
exactly.
really passionate story you want to talk about, like, for example, the Chilean folk singer, like, you need to write that story yourself, right? There might not be a script floating around
Exactly.
waiting for you. And if there is, what if someone else is cast for it instead of you? It's like, no, it's like, I want to tell my own story or my own version of it. I'm going to write and I'm going to portray it. And you could do it again in this day and age with a reasonable budget. You don't need $1 million anymore, right?
Yeah,
A few
yeah,
grand,
exactly.
a few grand, you can tell a very powerful, poignant story that can get you
Absolutely.
funding for a feature, right?
Absolutely. And like you even have like a film camera right in your hand, like
100%.
everybody
Yeah,
who
the
has an
iPhone
iPhone
13
or
shoots on like 4K, man. Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy.
exactly. You know what I mean? So you can go out and shoot movies right now if you wanted to.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And you know what, man, like I'm just so happy that you see it that way, because that's what you said, right? It's like back then, maybe 10, 20 years ago, if you're an actor, you're an actor, right? You go for auditions and then you work as a waiter during the day, right? But
Yeah,
nowadays, for better or for worse, it's competitive, right? You need to be
yeah,
relevant. You need to always be showcasing yourself. That's why I want to get into, like, how effective you use social media and things like that. Um, because you can't just wait around for auditions anymore, right? That's why Entourage is
yeah,
one of my favorite shows. Unfortunately, it's a bit outdated because if they made a show now, right, you'd be seeing Vinny doing TikToks and like having a YouTube show or some sort of way outlet to kind of access the industry.
yeah,
So yeah, very important, man. I'm so happy that you said that as well, because I can relate to your journey as a writer myself. Being someone that wanted to be a director, I can't just wait for scripts, and not that I wanted to, because there's stories that I really want to tell. But
hmm
guess what? The only way to do it is to make it happen yourself, right?
exactly, exactly.
So, what inspires you most about the art form that allows you to overcome the most challenging of days? Because we've all had those.
Yeah, I think what really grounds me is I just try to like because you're right, like working 12-hour days, even sometimes longer.
Oh yeah,
Like
much longer.
yeah, like I was just out in Newfoundland. We had a 14-hour day.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
believe it.
So
Yeah,
I was mad tired. But what really keeps me grounded is that it really is a privilege to do this type of work.
yeah,
Like I'm there getting to tell stories. I'm being fed well.
yeah. I was
Production,
gonna
you know what I
say,
mean?
when you're
You're
working those
being
kinds of
fed.
days, yeah, they always, the number one rule: feed your talent.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah,
you know, um, and yeah, just remembering that, you know, there are people and there are storytellers in other countries who aren't able to storytell.
right.
And here I'm being paid to do that, which is absolutely amazing. Like I love telling stories, and I don't think that I could ever live in a society where art doesn't exist. Which is like another reason why I'm writing this script, because back in Chile during like the 1970s and 1980s, a lot of art was illegal. Like you couldn't put
Oh
on
wow.
theater. Yeah, like the music was illegal. And this folk singer kept creating music speaking against the government. So yeah, I don't think I could personally live in a society where art doesn't exist, because it connects everybody together. It brings everybody together. You're telling stories that are relatable, and it could be the smallest thing and it would be relatable to someone.
Yeah.
you know and I think that's what keeps me grounded in when I'm having a hard day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, beautifully put. That's how I always kind of justify, my path, my journey.
yeah,
Why? No, I'm serious. Like why I've been drawn to this, art form is because you know, the arts is what distinguishes us from any other species, right? You know, there's obviously signs of intelligence on different animals. There's also, you know, speaks of life, right? From beyond Earth. But I always like to think what human beings can do, like when you see a canvas, when you see a performance, when you see a comedy sketch, you know, a film put together. I feel like I really do believe that our species is the only one that kind of has that in their innate, you know, character to do something that extravagant, you know, that extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
and I
you know,
see it like a superpower too. You know what I mean? Like it's
100%.
really a superpower because like I can't draw even stick people.
Right.
But there are like I've seen people like artists do amazing things.
There's someone that can sketch you right now, like realistic, like right down to every follicle of your hair. Yeah. No, I'm serious.
Literally.
It's crazy. I've seen it, like, because they do celebrities. And I'm just like, where does that come from? Like, you're telling me, like, again, not to, you know, condone like you know, batter intelligence. Like at the end of the day, it's you know, something that should be revered. But the way I look at it is like intelligence, there's nothing humanistic about it. Like it belongs to humanity in a way where, you know, we're the only beings that have that sophisticated knowledge to, you know, create something out of nothing, manipulate our environment. But art, like, where's that coming from? I believe that's coming from our soul. You know, that's coming from the deepest parts of our heart, and they're extensions of ourselves. You know, like intelligence will only get you so far, but I feel like art is what, like you said, connects the human race over generations and generations. It's what transcends everything, right?
Yeah.
You know, what's passed down. Like, you know, there's so many, you know, back to when the caveman paintings were around. It's like we look at that and we just reminded that we're human. We're all connected. You know, the person who did that 20,000 years ago is just like us, that knack for curiosity. So very well said. Yeah, Carlos, I really do agree on that about the arts. And that's something that I always kind of tell myself whenever I'm in the slums. Yeah. So a common discussion, you know, we were discussing this before too, but I have with guests on the podcast is how prominent social media has become for individuals in the film industry. So we use the platform to connect, to network, and ultimately showcase our creative talents. And you have been no exception to this concept with your frequent presence on Instagram and TikTok specifically. So I want to know from you, why is social media so important to you as an artist?
I mean, social media now for any type of artist really is like, it's like money. It's a currency.
Right.
You know? And it's, if you want to tell story, like I want to tell stories to the entire world, you know what I mean? I want the entire world to see me. And if that's the level you want to be at, you got to have social media presence. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm an expert. I could definitely do a lot more, you know what I mean? But social media definitely is hard, a hard thing to keep up with. But it really is like currency. And it's important because like casting directors will see there and they want to directors, producers, and because they want people who will help sell their projects.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And
long-term investment, right?
Yeah, that's what it is, right? They're investing in people. So the more valuable I mean, I hate saying that because it sounds like, you know what I mean, people don't have value, but like the more social media presence you have,
it's true, man.
The better it is in today's society for artists. Yeah, like I know I can be posting every day. I can be doing more, showing more of myself, but it's hard. It's
no, yeah,
it's a full-time job. You know what I mean? And I already I got acting. I do production stuff, and like for when I'm not acting, I'm working on sets. I have another part-time job, and social media is like shit.
No, I was gonna say, like, don't feel like you're a stranger to that, you know, like you're an outsider. I even though I'm trying to be consistent as much as I can, there are days when I plan, you know, a post and I'm saying to myself, damn, like this is hard, you know, how the hell can I do it? It's tough out there. But that's what I was gonna ask you, like, you know, how do you, even though you might feel like you're inconsistent, how do you, for the most part, just get yourself to post? Like, what is your process like?
I think I'll either post in the moment, and when I'm trying to be really consistent, I like to schedule a chunk of time and I like to use apps. I'll like come up with, I'll take a certain picture and I'll write a comment, and then I'll schedule it on the app to be posted on a certain day, certain time.
Oh, okay.
So that's what,
Cool.
yeah, that's what I try to do to keep.
What do you use?
consistent.
Like Tailwind? Is that what it's called, or no?
No, I use an app called Later.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. And or I'll just post in the moment if there's just something that, you know, I'm feeling. You know, the other day I was in my trailer and I was just like, you know, I'm gonna take a picture and post it right now. Because it was something that I was doing, it was something relevant to who I am, to my identity as an actor. And I was just like, yeah, you know, let's post it right now.
Even just showing that,
yeah.
even just showing that you're in a trailer, I'll be honest, like people want to see the behind the scenes of your life, right?
Yeah, everybody's
Yeah.
interested in that. So I know I'm interested in that stuff for sure.
100%.
I always like, that's my favorite part of like buying a movie, is watching the behind the scenes.
And that's what, you know, I'm so happy you said that, Carlos, because that's actually what I've been pitching to some clients now is, you know, I've seen them like social media dominance, you know, crazy growth, but I'm like, there's something missing. Like, I don't know what it is. And then I realized it's that behind the scenes, right? It's that access to the creator,
Yeah.
which is what you see so much on YouTube, which is kind of developing more and more. That's something that I envision for myself, you know, as I progress as a director. Like, how cool would it be to see Tarantino and Scorsese like an inside of their life? Now they're from a different time, they're more old school, but
Yeah.
the next wave of directors, right? They have someone has to replace them, as they say. Like, they're millennials. They're going to be millennials, and they're going to be Gen X, Gen Zs. They're going to be showcasing their life, right? So you can kind of see,
Yeah.
I don't know, like what goes on in their life, but also the creative process. An outlet for me is this podcast, right? It's kind of like a window to my mind, like how I talk outside of like, you know, the set. So that's very important, man. And that's something that I was always, you know, advocating and pitching to clients I work with is, let's do like a gritty vlog style, like behind the scenes of like what's going on in your mind. Like when you talk to the camera, I want to know like what's going on, you know, before you step on stage for a stand-up special, like comedy show, right? And that's actually what I'm doing right now, with a comedian. So yeah, I'm glad you're on the same page about that. Like you see it that way. You're not one of those artists like, you know, I just want to do my craft and go home. Because there are, you know, nothing wrong with that, but there are artists that speak that way. But I like you. Like you realize the potential, the power of having a presence on social media, right? What do you find your biggest challenge for creatives on using social media? What do you think gets in the way for them?
I think the biggest challenge, time. You know what I mean? Unless you have someone who's you're hiring someone to manage your social media.
Yeah.
It's time. And a lot of these celebrities whom you're seeing, you know what I mean? The Jake Gyllenhaals and the Leo DiCaprios,
Yeah.
100% they have social media managers and like social media companies that are managing their stuff, you know?
Everything's filtered, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure they do post themselves, but it's time consuming.
No,
and
to keep up with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I think the biggest challenge is. You know, some people, I've heard people say, oh, creating content, but I don't think that's the most challenging part, because everything can be content. You know what I mean? Like if you're cooking food, film it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yo, this is what I'm cooking today. I'm gonna film it quick and I'm gonna post it on social media. That's content.
And if you have a genuine fan, like someone's into your work, they don't mind that. Like, oh,
exactly.
Like, cook. Like I like Carlos. Like
exactly. Right? And it also shows a part of who you are personally, not just as a character. You know what I mean? And that's also a part of having a presence on social media is not just being Carlos the artist, it's Carlos the person also.
Yeah. That's smart. Yeah. No, that's very well said. And that's why I agree with you with anything can be content, right? With the whole like thing about you being in the trailer. You don't even need to do like a funny stylized edit of you being in trailer. You could just put up your phone and be like, hey, what's going on, guys? You know, day 2 shooting so-and-so, whatever, right?
Exactly.
You know, thanks again. Like even just giving a tour, man, I'll be honest, of your trailer, like people like me find it fascinating because I'm in the industry, right? So I'm just like endlessly fascinated to see that, right? To see like a working actor, like, you know, what kind of goes on in their life. Again, as you develop, you know, just throwing it out there, like you could have someone like follow you, you know what I mean? And kind of just show you like, you know, what is it like to fly around and like go set to set, or, you know, what are the kind of like hiccups you go through. And anything to give people, like you said, another angle to your life, as opposed to just I'm playing this character in this movie. Good night.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah. Amazing,
Exactly.
man. So again, looking over your accomplishments as an actor, I've seen quite a few credits to your names from from different genres and mediums. For instance, you've lent your voice to creating the world in the video game Far Cry 6, which was I thought was really cool because I'm a fan of that series, as well as Julio Vargas in on the global TV and CBS series, Good Sam. So I want to know from you, what is the process of landing such roles, and how did you ensure that you secured them? these ones, yeah.
So I have an agent who works with me. I found her, well, she found me actually out of theater school.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Scouted.
Yeah.
First overall draft. I love it.
So she does a lot of the work in submitting me as a potential artist who will get hired. Right. So I go out and I do my audition, and if it's on Zoom or self-tape, I always try to show a little bit of my personality. Like if I'm doing a slate, which is, I'm not sure if everybody knows what a slate is, but it's where you say your name, where you're from, and who you're represented by. I try to smile. I try to give, the most personality that I can in that short little moment.
Right.
So that they'll be like, oh yeah, this guy seems cool. Like I like him. You know what I mean? If you go, hi, I'm Carlos, out of Toronto, Janet Abrams Talent Agency, they're gonna be like, oh, this guy seems a little like.
Well, as we established at the beginning of the podcast, probably the most critical 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
To establish yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. And especially now, when everything is being self-tape, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't get the opportunity to go in and be like, oh, hey, how was your daughter's graduation?
Yeah. You don't get that human interaction, like one-on-one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
so
virtual.
It's definitely hard, but you definitely have to use up every single second to show your personality and who you are as a person.
Exactly. Well, that's amazing to hear. Funny enough, as you're talking, I just realized nowhere near experienced as you, but I actually tried to delve into the whole world of acting back just before that. Yeah, just before the pandemic, I signed up for like a modeling acting agency. Yeah. And literally right before the pandemic, like a couple months before, unbeknownst to me that the world would go to, shit. But I did kind of get a taste of what it was like to audition. And back to your point, a lot of self-tapes. Now it came easy to me because I just realized like, hey, you should be, very positive on screen, right? It just makes for a better performance, likability, right? But I'm just relating to what you're saying is that you're right. When I have to do a slate and say your name, your height, where you're from, things like that, you need to make sure you come across interested and
approachable.
Just approachable, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that makes sense. And then so I guess you just the auditions went well. Of course, went well, and you landed the role. What was your feeling like, by the way, with these roles specifically? Did you have much joy, or was it kind of expected because you worked really hard?
I always enjoy. Like every single experience is so special to me. Like even with Far Cry 6, where I just did voices, I would go into the booth, but it's not just that. It's getting to work with other people too. You know what I mean? Like you're having fun. Like I'll be in the voice booth screaming my lungs out, pretending I'm on fire. And then afterwards, we're all just cracking up because it was just so funny. You know what I mean? You're hearing someone who's standing still.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It's liberating, man, in a way, right? Because I went to acting class. I've done acting classes, and the guy's just telling us, now I want you to just like make so many awkward, uncomfortable sounds as much as possible. And we're all like, are you serious? Because there's like 30 of us, right? And it's that human ability, right? We naturally don't want to show that to our neighbors, right? We don't want to, convey that. We're self-conscious creatures. And he's like, no, let it all out. And it was so invigorating, like just going through that, right? Just for once, screaming at the top of my lungs, like not caring what anyone thought.
Yeah. And I love exercises like that because it really, like, as humans, we have so much inhibition where we're just like, oh my God. And like, what's this person going to think if I do that? Or, you know what I mean? And like those exercises, it really just gets you out of your shell. And it's just like, this is me 100%. here I am, you know
Here
what
I
I mean?
am, ready to party.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, man.
I love exercises like that. Those are awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely fundamental, right, for an actor.
Yeah.
So I want to know now, because again, you had an array of different projects, right? It's not like you're just doing short films, or features, or television shows. You're doing, again, video games. Do you find a difference when acting for live action versus animation or CGI?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, I find that when you're working on film, everything is a lot smaller.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's like when you're on screen, you're just pretending to be human.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Whereas when you're doing stuff like on video games or voiceovers, like for cartoons or video games, it's almost like theater where everything is a lot more grand.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like when you see like when you're watching a cartoon and you see the supervillain, like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's actually someone going after, and they're like, ha ha ha. Yeah. Like,
They're
they're just
actually
having
making that
fun.
noise. Yeah, they're making
Yeah,
that noise.
exactly. Exactly. And it goes back to even like those exercises that you were saying. Like,
Yeah.
you need stuff like that when you're doing when you're
To tap into that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because you have to be larger than life in those settings, you know?
Yeah, of course, man. No, well, that's very interesting, and I can imagine too. Like the schedule is different. The film, I have a feeling, is very concentrated, and one
Yeah.
scene can take like a 14-hour day, as opposed to
Yeah.
something animated, right? It's like, okay, we got about 5 takes of you yelling 5 different ways. Next, right? It's also a very comfortable environment, right?
Yeah.
So it's very different, probably, for an actor. I can only imagine. Much more relaxing, I could imagine as well, to be in a
Oh,
booth,
yeah.
as opposed to, right, a grueling set. But there's drawbacks, as in, if you're a true artist like yourself, you won't really explore the human condition, right? Like, dive into the role.
Yeah.
Fill out the shoes. Yeah, perfect, man. So given your ethnic background, you're Chilean, you were explaining.
Yes.
I always, and me being myself Italian, I'm always proud to see representation on screen, and cinema has done justice to that. I want to know from you, like, what roles or characters do you desire to portray and explore as you progress in your career?
I mean, I always like really playing evil people.
Oh, okay, yeah, villains. That's cool. Yeah, and
I love playing
this is a
villains.
jovial guy. Yeah, like likable guy, because I find that interesting, the contrast. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a really nice person, but there's just something about playing evil people that are just so interesting. And I really like to get into that mindset also, because it's like, what is this person going through for them to act this way? You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
really activates like my humanity in that, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just such a contrast of who I am as a person,
Yep.
where I'm just like such a bubbly and nice person, and then there's just something about going,
Yeah.
I'm
Stern
gonna
face.
fucking kill you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen the post, right? You play gangsters, you play all kinds of like criminal lords, right? So
Yeah.
it's definitely within you, something that you can access and tap into. And even for myself, right, I've been always told, I come across like a good person, very likable, approachable, whatever have you. But my characters that I write, or the characters that I'm fascinated with, whether it's my own work or movies that I enjoy, I just love it when they're despicable and they're tragic, and there's like an underdog element. They're coming from the rut, because not that I'm evil, but I can relate to like that misery, because I've been through a lot of my life. So it's like, I just know what it's like to be in a dark place. And I just find it fascinating to, like, as I say, rise from the ashes, like rise above it, And I think that's why maybe you're compelled to play these characters too, is that as much as you think that they're just evil, there's a humanity there to explore, right? That duality, right? You want to show, maybe it's a challenge for yourself too, because you're such a good, kind-hearted person in real life. It's like, no, I want to show like they could be likable too. And I just have to like channel that energy into them. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a really good example, like a movie that is a really good example of that, is Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Yeah, 100%.
Where he played the Joker, you know what I mean? Because he was
100%,
this nice person, and then society just broke him down, and you know what I mean? And
it's often
he became
said
this.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. And
no.
like he just became this evil person, you know what I mean? But it's that exploration as to why, from like point A to point B, what was that journey? Why did they end up at that place where they are.
100%. Yeah. No, that film, I was just going to interject before, is that I've heard, people say countless times, it's simply a story about someone suffering with mental illness, and they just slap the name Joker on it. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you didn't put Joker, right, and it was just a film, I don't know if it would make as much money, but it would be a really poignant film. Like it would move people. Like, damn, like that's meant people suffering from mental illness in our society, man. Society failing them, really.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's about society failing people. You know what I mean? Like there are so many people that for myself, like I have ADHD.
Oh, okay.
And so I struggle a lot with society, with living in general, because it's like we don't live in a neurodivergent world. It's very much neurotypical. And like there are just things that I do that society just isn't approved. You know what I mean? Like I shake my leg a lot, and
right.
For me that's calming. It helps regulate myself, but for other people it makes them nervous. You know what I mean? And that's the majority of people. So I mean, I forgot where I was going with this, but
no, well, to help, I just want to interject too, like, not to make light of it. Not that I've been diagnosed or anything, but I'm just like, I shake my, now that you said that, I've shake my leg a lot, to the point where it bothers like people. Like my mom will tell me like, stop it, and I don't realize it, but that helps me like stay in the moment and like be patient and whatever. And again, not to like take lightheart of your situation or anything like that, because I haven't been diagnosed or anything like that, even though teachers have been convinced that I might have had it growing up, and maybe I do. But I just can understand, because society kind of puts these, we've all agreed as a society, as a collective, the majority of us, is that these things are wrong and these things are right. And the problem is that if you're doing something that's perceived wrong, you're shunned, right? The fact that you can't focus properly. Like for me, again, I don't know if I'm diagnosed with ADHD, but at the same time, I know that I can get very easily distracted. I have an addictive personality, like all these different traits. And I didn't realize until pretty much around the time I was like in my mid-20s, 25, that I can channel it into creativity, right? I can channel it into something that I actually enjoy. In school, like I was explaining, they would get calls, my parents, like, oh, he's rambunctious, he's bothersome, he's annoying the children. And my mom finally, because she's always defending me, saying like, maybe he's just bored. And that was the reality. Apparently what happened was I would finish my homework, and because I was just like tired and bored, I guess I would finish like quicker than the other kids, or I just, was faster in some situations. Naturally, you're going to be, especially if you're a creative individual, you're going to want to do something else, right? And this, because the teachers don't know how to handle a child like that. Don't get me started on the education system. But you know what I mean? It's like the kid has to suffer and be told, no, something's wrong with him. None of the other kids are like this. It's something wrong. And it's like, no, it's like, why don't you like understand the kid, right? Like Quentin Tarantino, man, I know I'm going on a rant here, but let me just say this. Quentin Tarantino, he was like in school, and apparently he dropped out when he was grade 6. And he said he probably would have been really successful in school if the teachers gave a shit about him. He's like, the reason why he didn't go far is because every time there was something wrong with him, or like something where, he wasn't as focused, instead of taking the time to understand, oh, maybe this kid is like really into like history, let's teach him this, or like, let's hone in his skills on this. They ignored him, or they just said, no, I can't deal with this. And that was pure laziness, right? Pure inconvenience to them. So look what it showed off. I'm not saying everyone's a Tarantino, but I do believe that we're all destined for something greater than ourselves right now in this current moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Carlos, it's been a pleasure, man. I really enjoyed talking with you today. It really made my day. I'll be honest.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed talking to you too.
I love your background, by the way. Blue's my favorite color. So that perfect shade of blue. Love it. No, thank you again for sharing your journey, your experiences, and your insight as an actor and a writer. I really hope a lot of people can take inspiration from this as well. So if you have anything to say before we go.
Yeah, I mean, I hope a lot of people can take some inspiration too. And if they're ever thinking of if they're thinking about being a writer or being an actor or a singer, just go out and do it. Just go out and do it, and you're gonna learn.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's how I did it, and that's how really you need to navigate the industry, is just throw yourself in it.
Put yourself out there and show up. That's all I got to tell you guys.
Exactly.
Carlos, been a pleasure. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll talk soon.